What does Kimberly Cheatle know about the code of honor or valor? I just watched the testimony that she gave before the House today. And she spoke with all the passion and all the knowledge and all the heart of someone who is investigating a stolen sandwich from the cafeteria lunch fridge. Absolutely no passion in her voice, no care, no regard for answering any of the questions that resulted in the biggest failure in recent history of the Secret Service in protecting somebody. She came that close to losing one of the greatest presidential candidates in the history, a former president and one in the running for a tight thing, under her watch. Now, she read off a little bit of a statement there where she tried to wrap herself a little bit in the valor, and I'm going to call it a bit of the stolen valor but look at those agents who rushed on the stage. They went up on the stage and they surrounded and they put a human bunker around President Trump in order to save him. That's the sort of great people we are. Well, no, Kimberly, I don't believe it's the sort of great people that you are. Let me tell you why. You don't give a hoot about those agents that might have also died in that volley of fire. Because of all of the ridiculous failures that took place under your watch, under your security plan, that you feel confident in, that to some point you graded it an A in front of the House today, you thought it was that good, you don't understand the business of the honor code at all. Let's talk a little bit about the code of honor amongst people who do close protection, law enforcement, or special services work. I know a bit about it. I worked in law enforcement and I did close protection work. I've also have a number of friends who did a lot of work in the military and others who've done work in search and rescue and those sort of occupations. You know what it is? When you're out there with your team depends on you. Okay, each one of those Secret Service persons' lives could have been riddled with bullets by that guy still firing with an extra clip, we don't know how many clips, into all of those agents that your plan was responsible for. Those agents would have died under your watch, not only the assassination of President Trump. But you didn't care. You never called up any of those agents that day. Apparently you didn't call up the next day. Apparently you testified today. There was a third day before you called up and spoke to anybody there. Well, let me tell you how that works. Let's talk about some special forces for valor for a second here. The founder of Special Forces wrote a book, and his book was titled this, The Mission, the Men, and Me, because that was the way that he ranked everything that had to be done during their job. The key thing, the number one thing, was the mission. The mission had to be accomplished. In this case, the mission was protecting somebody, looking after them. That was the most important thing. If some of the men had to die, or women, while they're protecting someone like that, well, that's okay because we're accomplishing the mission. Then after the men, that was the next most important thing. If they accomplished the mission, he wanted to protect his men. That's what he cared about the most. And the last thing he cared about was him dying. It was the mission, the men, and me. That was the order for doing it. Now, when you're out doing close protection, special forces work, you care about protecting your partner, your swim buddy. One of the greatest examples of that, I think, was the Medal of Honor winner, Dakota Meyer, who gave just one hell of an interview with Jocko Willink a number of years back. He described getting the Medal of Honor for saving a bunch of his fellow soldiers and Marines during a heck of a battle. But you want to know something? When they tried to give him that Medal of Honor, he turned it down. He didn't want it. He didn't want to take it. He would go in and he'd have therapists tell him, no, it's a good thing. You take this Medal of Honor. And you know what he said in his head? You want me to take a Medal of Honor for the worst day in my life. I lost men on that patrol that were under my watch. I lost them. Yeah, I saved some, but I lost men. And you want to remind me of the worst day in my life. I didn't protect those men. That's what the code of honor is. You care about your fellow workers, your fellow close protection specialists. I know law enforcement officers that have the same issues. They'd be involved in a shooting or they'd lose another officer when they were there. And they would go on for years wondering, why couldn't I save him? Why couldn't I do it? Why didn't I get that shot? Why didn't I make the choice to shoot or not shoot? And there's been many officers who've committed suicide years later because it ate at them so badly, losing one of their fellow people who were under their watch. I talked to a search and rescue guy about that. He says he used to take it personally when he lost someone he was trying to save, when they were out there and he was saving them out in the middle of the battlefield or doing whatever. He says he took it personally when he lost someone. I don't believe Kimberly Cheatle took a thing personally. I don't think she had the slightest bit of passion for the fact that President Trump could have lost his life, for the fact that the agents could have been shot down and killed because of failures on her watch. She should be feeling like, oh my God, I let these people down. I let them down. Instead, she was testifying like someone took somebody's lunch and we'll look into it and we'll ask the FBI about that. I don't think she really cares. I don't think she has the honor. And when she talks about the honor of those agents who do stand up and do things, I think it's a little bit of stolen valor on her part. She should definitely resign. I mean, the House issued a letter today, both the Democrat and the Republican together in unity. You should resign. She is an embarrassment, and in fact, I think she needs to be investigated as being part of the reason for the failure of the protection for Trump. Let me just tell you about that for 1 second. This is the easiest investigation on the face of the earth to do. You know why? Because close protection specialists, any one of them, would go out there, they would look at the plan that was drawn up, and they'd say, is this plan right? Because guess what? Everybody has an area of responsibility, and everything is looked at. And all they have to do is look and see where was left open. Why was that decided to be left open? Someone didn't supply the resources. Someone didn't post someone there. Someone took somebody off the post. What is it? It's very easy because someone's responsible for that spot. Very easy to see where the problem is. I guess it's going to be another thing investigating, getting to the truth of who made that space open for that man to get a shot off at a presidential candidate. And I know who's responsible at the top. It's the director of the Secret Service. And she should resign and not try to steal the valor of other men and women who know what it is to use your life to protect other lives. I don't really believe she knows that. I don't want to be your judge, but I'm saying she does not act like somebody who was responsible for someone's life and nearly lost them. I mean, I know people, when we used to protect people, we'd say, I don't want to be on my watch if someone takes out this client. We had the 9th richest man in the world at one point as a client, and we did everything we could to make sure he was protected whenever we could. We didn't want him going down on our watch. We felt a personal responsibility for it. I don't see any personal or heartfelt responsibility for those agents from her. And a leader, a real leader, would do that. Resign.